'cause I really love to.
Welcome back to another episode of the GC Informer. I am Snowy, otherwise known as Count Fracula, and today I'm going to talk about a scandal, maybe not the one you're thinking of, depending on how big it gets, but we're going to talk about at least one scandal today. We'll start, however, on a positive note with Okami. I covered this a while back that Okami is getting a HD re-release on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. However, now some good news, and the good news is that it's coming to PC as well, most likely. The reason we found this out was because of the Korean ratings board putting a listing on somewhere that listed Okami. And for those of you who would like to know, the actual translation of what they wrote was Okami Clearview, because that's what they call HD, which I find quite nice. This listing had the formats on it as well, and the formats listed were PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Sadly for Switch users, there is no sign of a Switch port of the game. However, I'm really excited to actually play this game because I've never played it before. I never got it on PlayStation 2. I never got the Wii release, but now it's coming to PC, I'm actually quite tempted to pick it up, especially as it's a lovely, it's a full conversion remaster, not just a sort of port, like it could have been, which I'm really glad it's not. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth is an incredibly good game, one of my favourite indie games of all time. I've put a lot of hours into it. That word didn't want to come out of my mouth. In recent times, a modding community has been put to the forefront of this game, mostly because development on the game is now finished, but also because there was a modding community already and the developers apparently wanted to highlight the modding community a little bit more. This modding community, however, has got a little bit smaller as of the last couple of days because one of the larger modding teams called Team Alpha have decided that they no longer want to make mods for the game. The reason stated for this was that the recent toolkit for the Afterbirth Plus DLC was somewhat lacking, and the developer feels that this, amongst other things, is a sign that they, instead of wanting to keep Isaac preserved just for the future, they actually just wanted to get a little bit more money out of it before they killed it off. I mean, I don't know if that's entirely true. I think Nihilus, whatever, maybe put a little bit more love into Isaac than that. I certainly hope so, but they've definitely moved on to other things now, and I really I think that's a shame. Team Alpha did state that they tried to contact Nihilus about it, but to no avail, and it's not been sort of fixed. So they've decided that they're not going to make games for it anymore. Mods, games, whatever, you know what I mean. This is a shame, of course. I mean, I'm hoping this isn't a trend because The Binding of Isaac is a very good game. A lot of people are doing very good mods for it, and I really hope this doesn't kill off the modding scene entirely. I just think if what they're saying is true, I'd like to see a little bit more effort put into the modding kit. Just to, like a little patch it. Just patch it through, just gives a little bit more. That'd be nice. Now we're getting pretty darn negative with the fact that you, if you live in Malaysia, can no longer play games on Steam. This started with a game called Fight of the Gods, and it was recently released on Steam, and it's like a little fighting game where you can pit Jesus, amongst other gods, against people like Buddha or Zeus, and all sorts of combinations of gods therein, in like little fights. Just like a little, I think it's a 2D fighter, 2D beat 'em up, like Street Fighter type thingy. I might be wrong, might be something similar to that anyway. The Malaysian government took offence to this, however, or one particular branch of it did, and it's a ridiculous thing to take offence to it because, let's be honest, it's a little parody jokey joke, it's quite funny, grow up. And they decided that they wanted to ban the game. Instead of taking just the traditional means of literally just banning the game and not allowing that to be sold on the Steam storefront or any other storefronts in the country, they seem to have gone a little bit further than that and actually blocked Steam for any users in Malaysia. While this story isn't confirmed to be true just yet, there have been several reports of people being unable to access Steam in Malaysia entirely. So it might well be true that they've gone a little bit too far on the banhammer there and just gone, no, you can't do it, no. To me, it's a bit stupid. It's a bit like banning food if you get food poisoning. Doesn't really make any sense. And in the long run, it could harm quite a few economies, especially little Malaysian indie game devs. But whatever. It's a thing. Probably might be true, might not even be true. But worth talking about if nothing else. And finally, my salt will reach its peak with this story. It's just terrible, and it's concerning the CSGO Lotto gambling scandal. For those of you who don't know, I'll give you a little refresher. There are two YouTubers, and there's a few more besides, called Pro Syndicate and Team Martin. They did a few sort of cheap, what looked like cash-in videos, just going, hey, you can gamble your skins on this site and get other skins back, possibly. And it turns out they actually owned the sites, whereas they didn't disclose that. They just said, hey, I found this site, whereas they didn't find this site, they made this site. And they controlled the probabilities of everything, which is why in their videos they were winning a lot. So that's a bit shit. And it might also be a bit legal, but legal loopholes aside, I say legal loopholes aside, because they actually got taken to court over this at the end, as well as the sort of massive public backlash. And the results of that court case are now there for all of us to see in its awful, awful glory. What has been levied against them in a settlement is that Pro Syndicate and Team Martin have to make all of these kinds of videos, like they have to make it abundantly clear what's going on with them, if they own the site or if there's promotion and everything, you know, the things that they should have been doing anyway, because that's now the law. And that's it. That's it. That's all they have to do. And there's been no fine, no monetary settlement, nothing has changed hands. They've not been punished for this, for what they did, one of the biggest YouTube scandals, maybe outside of the adpocalypse, and they've just not been punished for it at all. Personally, I find this bewildering and slightly annoying. I say slightly, I mean very annoying, but there's fuck all I can do about it, and that's it. If you have an opinion on this subject, I certainly have opinions, then please feel free to give a comment. And my opinions may well be more fleshed out in the newscast on, well, we record on Tuesday, I'll be live on Tuesday, and then the edited version will be on Friday. So look out for that if you want to hear my more in-depth opinions on this pile of utter shit. I may have spoiled the overall opinion there for you. So that's it for this episode of the GC Informer. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a like, a subscribe, or a share, whatever you fancy. And our social links are down in the description, along with a link to our Discord where you can join in. Nice to have a nice little chat with us, and you know, we're all on there, lovely friendly community. Go and join in. If you liked me, I can be found on Twitter at Snowy Duffield. And I can be found on Twitch at twitch.tv/metalnerddude, one word. And I can also be found here on GameCast doing loads of different things, including my new show, actually, GameCast Release Day, which is highlighting a lot of the little releases that are on Steam and other places that are possibly just sort of shoved to the side when they shouldn't be. So that's a positive thing. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed watching the show, and Max will be with you tomorrow for some more news, so look forward to that.